All right, let's roll it. I can get into more mess than a room full of monkeys. And I'm doing it. Oh, anyway, my seaweed extract has not come, but I got a nice little letter because they said we're a small company on Vancouver Island and thank you for your business and your extract has been shipped. But I'm going to pot up the orchid that I just did the other day because I don't want it sitting around anymore. And on the next watering day it will get some extract in the water. So it'll get a soak then. So that's what we're going to go with. We're going to be thinking ahead of a few seasonal things that might be going on. But first I want to get that orchid in a pot. And then we'll do a tour, so I think we're going to be busy. Okay, I have the bark in the bag still, so that's 3 days. And I'm going to dump it into, I have a big strainer. When I used to work at the wholesale club stocking shelves, I got that real cheap. So, okay, so I did that 18 years. Holy smokes, night shift. Boy, oh boy, when I got to leave, I left and I'd never looked back. Okay, I've done so many things, like we all have. Anything to pay the bills and keep going. Okay, now I have dumped the bark in, but I'm going to rinse it because there could be dust and it's just been sitting in there and it'll get some of the color from the fir because it's Rexius fir bark, medium grade. I wish I could have got the large, but it seems impossible to get. So we give it a good rinse. Smells like the outdoors. Smells wonderful. Okay. Now, pot. I washed out the pot because the orchid was sitting in there and that moss was pretty yucky. So I washed the pot and I've been soaking the orchid. And what I've done is I've just clipped with a hair clip. I often use them for my orchids to hold the two spikes together so that they're not in my way or flip-flopping, but I do like to leave them in. I found the easiest thing to do. So I'm going to show you a close-up because earlier this morning, it was my watering day. I cleaned up the roots after I finished watering. There's still some things I don't like and I'm going to show you what they are. You see these nice green ones? Well, they had come up and they were closer to the surface of the pot and the outside. But where they're joining on, like here, this is not very nice. And same with here, because it's not nice where all these green ones have a real bad spot where they were in the center. And what was happening? It wasn't getting air. So most of the rotten roots came from the center. Now, these roots, okay, we know that when you change medium, they grows new roots to suit its environment. We really know that because I preach it often. So, but remember this, and if you haven't done it, say you repotted an orchid 4, maybe 5 months ago, and you haven't been checking inside your pot to see if you're watering right or anything, and you should be, because even if you take it right out, it's not going to hurt it. I do it to mine all the time. Anyway, you're probably going to find 4 months down the road that all these ones here, you're probably going to lose them. Because why? They have not been getting any air for who knows how long. They still look like roots, but they don't look like they should. So we will probably eventually lose these, and because of this rot, we may end up losing these. But what I'm doing is when I pot it, I'm going to take these green ones and put them up near the surface of the bark. And they were around in the pot like that. And then these ones where I got all the rotten ones out, they will be in the center. We will probably lose them. So let's see, 4 months. So we're looking at October, November, December. Come January, I'll probably do it sooner. You take it out of the bark. You put it somewhere where none of the stuff you pick off is going to get into that bark. You clean it up real good, and remember the glass is half full, not half empty. In other words, when you're looking at taking off all those roots, remember it's the other ones you're looking at. Why did we want it? Because it had lots of aerial roots. These are going to keep it going, and even these ones here, even though they're rotten up here, some places, some people would cut them off. I'm going to leave it for my cleanup time because what I want to see is new roots and good root growth. And as long as I see no mush, and I don't think there will be in the bark, I'm leaving them on for now. So, because we're going to be busy today, we better get going. There. We're going to put some bark in the bottom. That's all I use. Now I used to use a few other things. I find it never made any difference. So I just use the bark. Now here's these green ones. I'm going to hold them up for now, just up here, out of there, because most of the growth will come new from here anyway. So I've got it in there like that, and I'm just going to drop this bark in between. I was so happy I saw all these aerial roots and the tips hadn't been cut off. But even if the tips are cut off at the florist, because they're in a crowded area and they don't like them tangling in their other orchids, so normally they're cut off. But I'm lucky these weren't. So these are going to keep this orchid happier. Now, the reason I'm keeping them a little closer to the surface, these green ones, is because they're used to being, they may not die off, but we will see. But anyway, for now, I think it's the smarter thing to do. Anything that was really mucky has been taken off. Because in bark, and you find that as you use it more and more, and you're only watering once a week or maybe twice, depending on where you live, you find you don't have rot problems unless you're watering too much. And I know you're not watering too much because before you water, you can check halfway down in that pot, not the top, halfway down or even further into that pot to see if that bark feels damp. If you've got a see-through pot, you can do that. I don't have them. I like playing with different pots, so, and I think my orchids do too. So we're going to put all this in. And I kind of take my finger and lightly shake it in so I don't break any roots. I've got all those green ones on the top, and I'm just going to put a little bit of bark over them. And then, because the bark takes about 2 months before it actually holds on to any of the moisture you're putting down in there, to create humidity, a slight mist of the surface, and these green roots will get it. Don't worry, don't go misting it as if it's all around the root. You'll rot it. It'll be like watering every day. A very, very light mist. Okay. It has been pouring rain here all day. just pouring. The other day it thundered and everything. We're not complaining because I know there's people, boy, they have worse. There's always people worse off than us. And we're thankful. Okay, I can tidy up this a little bit after. I think I've got it pretty good. I'm going to unclip the clip now. There we go. So we haven't gone all floppy on me. And lay a little bit more on the surface. There we go. I'm going to save some of this bark. This is some of the, oops. I picked this off earlier too. It was pretty yucky. Plus what I picked off when I showed you the other video when I brought it home. So there we go. It's all potted up. Nothing fancy, everybody can do it. Okay. So there we go, that's all potted up. And I'm just gonna maybe move that over here for now. So, let's get this out of my way. Yeah, that's kind of messy. And there's water in there, we'll forget about that. Okay. Now, if you have really wet roots, you might want to spray some hydrogen peroxide on them. I've quit doing a lot of things. I've noticed no difference. But if you find raw or real mucky stuff and it doesn't hurt, the hydrogen peroxide, I put a little sprayer on my big bottle. It's Equate. And it's a 3%, and you can just spray it. Most of it goes into the air before you know it, and it doesn't hurt your plant, doesn't hurt anything. So I often clean the counters with it, clean the stove with it. So that's why I have such a big one. I have a few here and there. Okay, so we have to start thinking of, we got fall coming, and the Christmas coming. And I want you to start looking and thinking of things you could do to make your Christmas or your fall more decorative. And I want to show you what I did. Let me go back here. Now, this is the punch bowl. Just let me slide. Oh, it won't slide because I got it. Okay, this is the punch bowl that I just always have had. I picked it up at Kindle, I think for $5 or $10. It had some broken pieces, and Jack drilled a hole in it and we made a fountain. But then Rosemary, my daughter, she says, oh, well, the fog likes to travel down. And actually with it higher, I have more room close to here for orchids because we're getting to the time of the year where it'll be cold, the heater will be running, the air will be drier, and then we have our misters going for our orchids and for us. So I had this dish that almost matched this. So I turned this dish upside down and put silicone on it and siliconed this on top and put the water and made it quite decorative and made more counter space for orchids under it, so when the mist comes down, it gets the orchids. Now, inside here, so that's why it's not moving. I'll show you what I did. Okay, at dollar stores you can often find these things, or secondhand. They hold a candle, but I've used them for standing in orchid on a saucer that has pebbles with water underneath, or a bowl that just has water, no pebbles, because that evaporates too. So what I did, so this wouldn't slide around on the counter and create an accident, I took some of that foamy material that they use for dishes and carpets so they don't slide, and I cut a circular piece, and so under the upside down dish is a circular piece of stuff so it doesn't slide, and then this. So this is stopping it from moving. So no one can accidentally slide it or that. So I didn't want to put the orchid in front of it until I showed you. So now I'll put it there. So as the humidity comes down, and it needs a dish. Where did its dish go? Whoops. This dish has some little glass pebbles and a little bit of water. So that will help too. And it will sit there and it will be here for some time. Now the mister, and I get mine at House of Hydro, they have all kinds of information on their site that you can get in to read. I actually printed a lot of it out. It's very useful because it works by, it's like an ionic air purifier that people buy. So it helps purify the air in the space around where you have them. It also adds humidity because, as you know, it can be very cold most of the winter. We have our heaters on. The air gets drier and drier. It is good for the orchids, but it's also good for us because you find if you dry your throat all up from dry air and no mucous membranes, you're going to get sick more often. So it also helps for us, for our air. It also helps clean the air and picks up particles and that falls with the mist, and it can be vacuumed off the floor or wiped off the counter. So it's good for cleaning the air, it's good for us, and it's good for our pets. It's good for little doggies. My trusty little Maggie, she's always there. Most of the time she's really good, and sometimes she have kisses for Mom. That's a good girl. Okay, I know we shouldn't do that. Sure. So, okay, now here's some ideas. So I did that with that one, but I want to show you a few ideas for making, okay, if you want to make a stand for your orchids, if you have a bunch of decorator pots, and when they're close together, their leaves are close together, it's good to have them in one area because they create their own humid environment. But it's also good to have some higher and some lower so the leaves aren't all touching, and so that when the fan is on, it can let the air move around. So you can just take any vase. You know, I got this at a sale somewhere. You can take any vase, and sometimes I pick up these round sheets of glass here and there and they're very useful. I use them for all kinds of things. But anyway, you can take that. You can just stick it on your upside down vase. And then you can take your orchid and you got a stand. And what has that done? It's actually made room so you can get more closer underneath, but they're not touching. Plus this one, it makes a more decorative design. So I'll just go put this in the window over there, and then when we do our tour, you'll get a better idea of what I mean. So I'll just put it there, and I'll just put this orchid on it. I told you I can get more. Jackal, what are you doing? Oh, I don't know. He's busy trying to get a computer going for Mom because we had a really old computer, and if she tries to talk on Skype, it heats up and there's all this noise and it's like it's going to blow up and then it shuts down. So he knows how, so he's ordered parts and he's rebuilding a new computer so Mom can talk on Skype to who she wants and there wouldn't be so much trouble. So, okay, so there was one idea, a stand. You can use that stand for almost anything. I mean, you could put a cake on there at a party, or in the middle of your table you could put something. So, now, These are around in thrift stores. You can start hunting, but they're handy this way or they're handy this way. So if I put this on, like that, and I think you can see it, and then this is a disc. This one is a funny color because this is a disc from House of Hydro. They have their name. But I have this one tough coated. I usually get the regular ones and I haven't had any trouble with them. But I thought, well, just for fun, I'll try this one that's tough coated and see if it actually does last longer. You pay a little more. They say it lasts longer. If you're doing you have to check out their site if you haven't, because it shows like people with reptiles and how they get, you can buy these like with 6 little discs. Never touch that disc with your finger when you're cleaning it. You can take this, I usually find a little Q-tip if it won't come off, dipped in water and vinegar, or just dip it in a glass of vinegar and it'll come nice and clean. But never touch that disc or it won't work. And I find the bigger bowls are nice for this because when the water gets, okay, it should only run for about 8 hours and then have a rest long enough that that water cools down. But I turn mine off at night so I don't have that trouble. But you could actually run it longer if you change the water if it felt hot, because these do heat up the water. So that's why they say, well, you shouldn't use them continually because it's the heat, the water gets so hot. Okay, now this is one of my homemade tea light stands that I made, just with these things. I've cut them off with a little saw so they're shorter. And then this fits right in the center quite nicely. And so if I put that in there and plug that in, okay, we're getting our steam, then you can play around. You can find, you can find different things to put on the top. You could put a matching bowl. You could put a saucer so that you can put an orchid up there. You can silicone those together because it doesn't hurt them and you can take it off. You can just put one of these. You get a lot of steam. It's probably less, it's not as big, it's not going to last so long. But you can even make something decorative if you have company coming or something like that. So you can put it this way. You could put a little Paphiopedilum slipper orchid there, get lots of humidity. So there's one thing, and I'll unplug it for a minute. You really shouldn't be, don't ever touch that when that is going. Boy, it'll hurt. It will hurt. So you're not supposed to touch it anyway, especially when it's going. So those are a couple of things, and you can take even, this is an old one I have, I usually put orchids in, and the same thing. You got to think about what you could do. In fact, if you don't want to be, if you want to be real fancy, and it's Christmas time, and you have some fancy bowls, and you don't have to put a lot of silicone, this can actually sit like this, and it fits right inside. And then you have, and it also works the other way. Then you can put this on, and you can take the lid, and you can put it on. At Christmas, you could throw some little balls in there, or, you could decorate it up a bit. But, there's lots of things you can do. So if you didn't like it that way, this is how I did that one. So I put silicone in there, and then I put that and I left it overnight. Like that. Actually has more of a base to stand it on, so it's stronger. And you could even put a saucer up there and an orchid. So, you'll play around. That's why I like my own tea light things. And you can sit something up there. You can sit something decorative out there, or just a Christmas ball. You can do so many things. So I'm going to take that down. You could use an ice bucket, and if you had a nice ice bucket and put a couple glasses in there, or you can use a water pitcher. Hey, for a second. There we go. And these don't have holes. No one's drilled a hole in any of these except that one, because it's an older bowl that we did have and we've been using for years. None of these, I'm just showing you. So you can use a pitcher. You can use something that's long and narrow, and then what you have to do is put something to raise it a little bit, because the mister only wants about so much water on top of it. So anyway, I'm going to take you for a tour. I watered today, show you how I've done some of my things as I go. And this is a quick one. We got it potted. We're waiting for our seaweed fertilizer. And thank you, all those that have told me all the good luck you've had with it. And I'm so excited, but it hasn't come yet. So let's go on a little tour. Okay. We have this fan going. This was one of the best things. I found it really made a difference. So, and I still got this light on. This morning I turned this light on. I can turn it off. It's darker in the mornings now. And this was just that stick-on LED tape. So this was just a bowl that I put an upside down dish and a fish. And it works good. And I'm not running it because we've still been pouring rain and the humidity is 70. And the windows aren't open. I know. So there's the new leaf coming. Where is it? There it is. I bet this is going to grow fast. The other one grew so fast and grew up there, and I think it's going to grow so fast. So yes, and of course this mister, this is just a punch bowl. There's lots of punch bowls in thrift stores around here that you can play around with making into a mister. So I think Hirella reticula has some flowers coming soon. I've seen a couple more little things. There's going to be some flowers, so that's good. And lots of little roots. I actually cleaned this one out today when I was, I dumped it out, cleaned any roots that needed done, put it back. It's still happy. It's got a leaf coming. And I think it's a good thing to do, to keep your eye on them. Or if you're watering and you smell something that doesn't smell right, well, best to check the pot. The bark might be good, but so this is a fish. They sell them online. I got it at a grad sale, but they do sell them online. And there's our little stand we made just with a vase and a little round piece of glass. Could have been a plate. Really wouldn't matter. Okay, and I have these hanging up here but if the weather turns again and it gets hot, I'll have to take them down, but they are up here for now. So I'll just show you the other room. And I got this light on, so I've been fooling around this morning, and I better turn this one off too. Sorry. There. Okay, I brought the dendrobiums in when I watered. So I don't know what's going to happen. I have no bragging rights for dendrobiums. I keep hoping. So they were watered today. And see, you can see I sometimes will put Moonglow. She's on a flower pot on an ashtray. She's a little higher. She deserves it. So just saucers underneath to catch the water. I think things are coming along pretty good. Another new leaf popping up. See, you can see inside this one because I don't have them on. There's the tea light. There's the upside down dish, and I sit a slipper orchid there sometimes. This one, sometimes I'm near a lamp, so I just turned that lamp on. It was so dark this morning. So this table gets a little bit more humidity and light from that. And the slipper orchids, I'll show you what I've done to them. I've got them, I got this pot years ago at a garage sale. And right now I'm using it for a table, but it holds one of my cymbidiums. If it flowers in the greenhouse, I'll bring it in. And then I found 2 pots for $2 that matched it. But so what I did was, see inside? Okay, those beads under there, there's water up to the bottom of that ashtray. So the slipper orchids are actually getting a little more humidity that way. And so, same with this one. So we'll see how they do. So, Carolyn has to quit getting orchids. I think so, because there's so many. Isn't there, Maggie? Maggie, what you doing? Okay. There we go. Okay, sorry everybody. We are going to go, and hope you had some fun, and we'll see you next time.